So, like I said, ColoredCoins is a very nice way to hedge yourself against the volatility of Bitcoin while having all the advantages of the blockchain is procuring. So from a consumer perspective, consumers are not very familiar with how to hedge your investments. They don't get why there is multiple currency, why it's very important to diversify, not only in stocks but also in investment medium. So for example, a little bit in several currency, in metals, and also in stocks. They don't get why it's important to cover all the aspects of investments. But maybe one of the things that will appeal them for a ColoredCoin is what we call the smart property. So the concept of smart property is that it's a little bit what I'm developing these days. Is you embed inside a small device. For example, take an hotel room. Okay, you want to give the right to the person having a particular ColoredCoin to unlock the door of your room. Okay, so just imagine that everybody on Earth have a Bitcoin address, and then if they want a room, they can buy it with some Bitcoin, and in counterparty they receive a ColoredCoin, which represents a temporary ownership of the room. So the only thing they have to do after that is to go in front of the door and say, I am that address, and the door will then check that if the address have the ColoredCoin that represents the property rights, and unlock the door if it's the case. So you have a simple way of authenticating the clients. Since the customer has the private key, he can sign, for example, a small message to prove that he owns the door. So this is, for example, for an hotel, but it can work for all kind of stuff like cars or whatever. And for now, we are very far from making it a reality, but all the technology already exists, and everything that Bitcoin needs is already developed. So that we come back with what I said. What we like is developers. We have a shortage of skills, and for now it's the main problem I'm trying to solve. I think that those assets right now are not very influenced by the Bitcoin volatility, because, like I said, if you represent 1 kilogram of gold into a ColoredCoin, Bitcoin can go to zero. You don't care, because you have this asset that will not change value with Bitcoin. But at one point, the volatility of Bitcoin might be important, but I don't think we are near that time yet. It's when Bitcoin becomes so central to our economy, and when it starts to become expensive to transfer an asset on the blockchain. In this case, it means that if you have, for example, 1 gram of gold, it will cost you more money to transmit this gram of gold across the globe than if you it will cost more money to transmit this gram of gold than receiving the money. For example, it will cost you 1 Bitcoin to transfer 1 gram of gold, but you will lose money by doing that. So if that happens, it means that the blockchain will be only used for high value transaction. So it will still be advantageous to use the blockchain, for example, for storing 1 ton of gold. So you can very easily transmit it, since the cost of making the transaction is relatively low with the value you are transferring, but it will shift all small value transaction out of the blockchain. And so at this point, maybe the volatility will play a big role, because it will influence how much does it cost you to transmit your gold. That's one other question. But we are not here yet. I'd like to come to this problem. If one day it happens to be true, I will be already rich and living in the Bahamas. So it's we'll say, but not right now. It's not. We are not here. So raising funds, I think there is a big opportunity that Bitcoins unlock on this subject. But right now the regulatory framework is not ready yet for that. So the thing is that since the blockchain is completely transparent, some people will say it's like a flaw of the system. The pseudo-anonymity of the system is a flaw. But you can also use it as a feature. And I will explain to you why. It's imagine that you want to create a new company, and you want people to invest into your company, but you don't want to bother. You don't really know them beforehand, and you want that everybody, according to their means, can invest into your society, your company. Right now, you need to be in the public market. If you want to be in the public market, you have to pay a big bill to the banks, so you can make a public offer of that. But with Bitcoin, potentially you can say, okay, I emit 1,000 ColoredCoin, you can buy it for so much, so people will buy it, okay? They will invest in the company, they will crowdfund a company by buying the stocks. And the interesting point is that since all these coins are traceable on the network, they can, the owners of the company can show to everybody how much profit they do. Because since, for example, imagine that the boss of the company just publish the wallet of the company. Everybody can see what is going into the wallet. So everybody can see the profit that the company is doing. And imagine that you have a contract with the shareholder that say, for example, that they will earn 5% of dividends. They have a way to check that the founder of the company does not cheat them, because they can see his wallet. They can all the most, I can't say all, but most of the financial information are out here in the blockchain and published. It's completely transparent. So it means that, for example, after maybe every week, the founder can just send dividends to the shareholders. For now, the legal framework to do that is not here yet. It's not here. But it is something that is technologically possible to do. And if I think it will happen, even if the legal framework is not ready yet, but it will have a big impact, because for the first time you can make a public offer without paying a million, and it's a big deal. I think it's a very big deal. I think it's a good question, because from the right now, from the miner's perspective, whether a transaction holds ColoredCoin or not, from the miner's perspective, it's the same thing. And I've already had the problem that some of the ColoredCoin transactions were taking longer to confirm, because from the miner's point of view, there was very few Bitcoin that was transacted. But the value of the transaction was very important. Let's take an example. If I, for example, transfer you 1 ounce of gold via the Bitcoin network, from the miner perspective, it will only see for example, some dust Satoshi, and so it will conclude that this transaction does not have a lot of priority. And so right now it's a problem that's, and I don't think there is a nice way to solve this problem, but from the miner's perspective, they will not prioritize a ColoredCoin transaction. But I don't think it's such a big deal for now. Maybe it will later, but we'll see what happens. Because nothing prevents, for example, a miner to trust some issuer of some ColoredCoin and recognize the value inside the transaction. But we're not here yet. It's a very, very new topic. What I think about ColoredCoin is, I think it will be maybe more important than the purely payment feature of Bitcoin, because on the top of ColoredCoin we can build something like a smart property and all kind of financial instruments like bonds, shares, loan, and all kind of obligation without needing a trusted third party to do that. And I think this will fire a lot of innovation in this space. Right now it has not begun yet, and the reason is, I think it's hard to code right now. We don't have lots of developers that can code such products. So this is also one of it comes back to my previous question, is a little why I also developed Bitcoin and NBitcoin. It's so we can have more developers to work on that.